What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for watching another episode, or maybe this is your first episode of Moral Dilemma. That's the lamest thing about this podcast.
We need to come up with something better.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for watching Moral Dilemma. If this is your first episode, this podcast is just something, a group of guys hanging out, talking about some things we like, pop culture, movies, songs,
video
games, but also, above all of that, Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Basically anything we're interested in.
Yeah, who's the number one? Anything we're interested in. So, yeah, we're excited to have you. This is our third episode, hopefully. So, hopefully you guys have been watching them. We're still working out some kinks, so bear with us. This is our first ever podcast for any of us, I think. So, it's cool, though. I really enjoy it. Yeah, it's a good time. Shout out to our studio audience right now. We have Matt Matheny, the guy with the blue truck.
The man,
church,
the myth, the legend.
The guy with the spider dirt bike motorcycle thing.
There you go.
And then we also have our sound guy Adam back there pounding a cheeseburger.
Pepperoni roll.
And
not a sponsor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cheeseburger.
Not a sponsor yet.
Sorry,
We're gonna
not
work
yet.
If you or your company wants to sponsor us, let us know.
We'd appreciate
Currently, we are just sponsored by R3 Productions and
Newland Printing Company.
Newland Printing Company. First sponsor. Kind of unofficial yet, but yeah, we're on it. But to kick off this episode, we have a lot of really cool things in store. Really excited. But Eric, I heard that something kind of crazy happened to you recently. Would you care to share? Because I'm intrigued.
Well, I don't know if people really want to hear this.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, for sure.
So
Let the people know,
We're
Eric.
headed home. We're actually looking at houses right now. So we're
okay.
kind of looking at a house. It didn't work out. It wasn't a house for us. Anyhow, that's another story. But anyhow, we were driving home. Shelly's in front, and I'm driving behind. I end up breaking down. Something just like popped in my vehicle.
Is this
I
your
saw
Trailblazer, right?
Trailblazer,
All right.
yes. It is the Trailblazer.
The classic.
And so I'm chucking around 70 miles an hour. And
Chucking
all this,
around?
Chucking.
Can you
Is
describe
that what
what
you do
chucking
nowadays?
around? Do you mean chugging along?
Yeah, chucking.
You said
Either way.
chucking around at 70 miles an hour.
Hey, I make my own terminology.
I got you. I'll be
You're
quiet.
chugging around.
This is my story, right?
I apologize.
Anyhow, so I get broke down. I pull off. It's heating up and everything, and the steam comes out of the engine and everything, and then I'm trying to get out, to check on something, or get around to get my things out of the vehicle. And I had my paycheck, in my hand. Okay. But as I'm opening the door, I get a gust of wind and vehicles coming by. My check flies out, and I'm on the phone with my wife on speakerphone. And so I'm just going to go get my paycheck. I look to make sure it's clear, right?
Yeah.
I look and see if it's clear. And then my wife's like, "What are you doing?" Because I was out in the middle of the road, and she's like panicking. Like, is he just lost it? Is he desperate, or is he depressed?
And you run out in the middle of the road.
And I got my paycheck.
Well,
and
I'm
then-
pretty sure there's ways to get that back if you do lose it, right?
Yeah, Dave Betts was like, "Hey, checks can be reissued." I said,
But your life cannot.
yeah.
Unless you are a Christian.
Yeah, but I didn't want to go through
Have you
It
ever
was
heard
right
of
there
Lazarus?
too. It was right there, and I was like, I'm just
Christian.
gonna go get it.
That
But
is
yeah,
funny.
I got my wife upset with me, so I learned the lesson that if you're gonna run out in the middle of a 4-lane, you probably want to let your wife know what's going on.
Well, that is
Something to live by.
comedy.
And now $800 later, it's back on the road.
Your
Praise the Lord.
Wait, your paycheck or your car?
The old trail.
Well, my paycheck is $800 less.
I think it might be time for a new car.
Yeah, it probably is. I just don't want to spend the
I know
money.
you have a history of good deals with cars, though.
Yes,
so
I
I'm
do.
sure it's hard.
I
to
smell a
do.
Cadillac in your
That's
future.
a whole story right there.
Yeah.
I had a dollar
Yeah.
truck. I had a car that was in youth group or youth ministry that I had for a long time that was $350.
Dang.
The reason why it's named $350 because I literally paid $350 for it. It was a Buick Skylark.
$350.
Yeah, so that was.
Dang. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So maybe next time on Eric's Story Corner, we can hear about his history of really good car purchase deals.
Next time we should have a segment about Logan and his nightmare,
Oh yeah.
or we could talk about it now.
I think we should hold off.
We'll save that one for
okay.
another time.
For the sake of brevity, which is also a good song. We'll talk about that later, too. But anyway, we have a lot of fun things in store. And Eric just kind of shared some comedy. I thought it was funny. And another thing we all like is comedy movies.
Yes.
So
I am
we're going to
ready
be
for this.
discussing a little bit about some of our favorite comedy scenes in movies. For the sake of time, let's limit it to one each.
Yeah.
Who wants to kick us
I
off?
am
Kick us
ready.
off, Seabear.
I am ready for this. So, one of my favorite comedy movies that I think just transcends time. Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Just the whole premise of the movie, like running around pretending to ride horses and making all of the sound effects
That's
with
genius.
your mouth.
It's
It was
honestly
genius
genius.
comedy.
Do you know why they had to do that? You know why they
I don't.
They
I'm
didn't
guessing
have the
budget.
money to rent horses.
Yeah.
So they were like, hey, let's just get some coconuts, cut them in half, and
Yeah.
just make the sound.
So
I feel like I know which scene you're about to talk about.
I am about to talk about the Black Knight scene.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So
That's a classic.
That just like
That is pure comedy.
it's just like that entire fight scene. He's literally like cuts his arm off. And he just like acts like nothing happened.
It's just a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh wound. He keeps fighting.
That's so
Doesn't
good.
at the end he's like, come back here, I'll gnaw you to death.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, Corey, you want to describe the irony in that whole thing? Like the word, you know what I'm talking about? The word you can't say?
What?
It? Isn't it it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
the whole
it.
scene. That's how the whole scene
Yeah.
develops, right?
He has to say a word to get across the bridge, right?
Oh yeah.
And he can't.
that's
The
what
word
it
it
is.
is like the forsaken word or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's how that'll unfold.
I think my favorite line from that whole movie, I've seen it once my whole life, and it's been a long time ago. But I like this the scene when it's like, you must follow the biggest tree in the forest with this herring. I just thought that was so funny, just kind of nowhere.
Well, I love the guys that are up in the tower.
Yeah.
And they're looking down at the castle, and they're looking down at the
Yeah.
people talking with their French accent. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I like. Sorry, Corey. You can continue in 1 second. I like
no.
the part where he's about to throw the holy hand grenade.
Oh,
and he's like 1, 2, 4, and his little henchman's like 3, my lord, 3.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
It's just like I could talk about that movie for so long
Oh, yeah.
because there's just so much.
Yeah.
It's just one of those like super random.
I know.
That whole movie, we could talk about
Yeah.
every scene and why it's
There's
hilarious.
so much to like deconstruct from that movie. I feel
Exactly.
like.
Like anytime I hear like something about a comedy movie, that's the first movie that comes to
Yeah.
mind.
I think the first time I saw that was at your house
Oh, yeah.
because you kind of introduced me to a lot of these comedy movies.
Yeah, you've been like
I was kinda uncultured.
sheltered your whole life
Yeah.
and never experienced
Yeah.
any good
I mean, I wasn't
comedy
even
movies.
cultured. I've just never really gotten into comedy movies.
Really?
But the
Oh, man.
one that I'm about to talk about, in my opinion, is the pinnacle of filmmaking, Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh no!
I think Napoleon Dynamite is genius because it's so low budget, and it was the first movie kind of that genre because they had a low budget.
Yeah.
It was so dorky, such dry humor. And even the like creator of that, who went on to create like Nacho Libre and stuff like that, he hasn't even been able to recreate that.
Yeah.
Because like just the charm of the first one, I just think it's so funny. I think my favorite scene. There's so many in that one. I really like obviously the classic when he's feeding the llama.
Tina, you fat lord, come get some dinner.
Like that, there's so much. But I also think that the dance scene at the end,
Oh, yeah.
I think that is just perfect. Just like it just sums up who the character is. It's just great. So
You know that's such a good movie by how many times that's been recreated, and just the clothing line that still runs it, like the Vote for Pedro shirts, are still thriving.
I want to know how that happened, because so many people wore the Vote for Pedro shirts. Like it was like
It wasn't even part of the movie. It was just a shirt that was worn, right? Well, I mean, I understand
yeah.
the plot line of voting for Pedro, but like that shirt wasn't like
yeah, it was yeah.
If anything, why was that the shirt that people wanted? That was just the most random thing for me.
yeah.
Well, and then just from like the way it opens, where there's like no dialogue, and he tosses the like army man out the bus
Oh,
window
yeah.
on the string.
It's so
And
good.
his brother's storyline of how
Kip.
he meets this. Yeah.
Meets the lady online.
When he gets slapped too, that one tiny part where he just gets slapped in the face.
I also love the scene when Kip goes to the like kung fu lessons or whatever.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Bow to your sensei. I love that.
That was good. That was pretty good.
There's so much of that movie I like. I need to rewatch it again because it's been a while. But yeah, who's next?
You want me to go?
We'll talk about movies.
Okay. Man, this is a close tie because on the way here I was thinking of two, but if we're gonna stay loyal to one, I'll feature the other one very shortly. I think Anchorman 2,
Oh, yeah.
if I had to talk about a scene that I laughed the hardest, was when he went blind with the whole Ron Burgundy jazz flute thing. I think the fact that he was playing a jazz flute on ice alone is hilarious. And the fact that he just whips that talent out. And then that leads up to the second part where he's in the lighthouse blind and he's like living this like little hermit life.
Yeah.
And he's eating like the checkers and like they're like making fun. They're like,
I'm blind.
he's like, I'm blind. Like, that's hilarious. Now, the really quick second feature, this is more of the experience rather than the scene itself, is in Spaceballs, the iconic zoom in scene. I'm looking at our sound guy Adam now because he is what made it. He's the reason why it was so funny. I have never seen Adam laugh that hard in a movie scene when the camera pans in. It's a dramatic scene, but it hits him in the face, and it's like part of the scene. It's just it's really funny, but Adam lost it. And that made it one of the most iconic comedy scenes.
He completely shut down the movie watching experience for a good like 20 minutes. And he was like doing that laughter where he just kind of went like limp and just kind of
He's like twitching around.
He's actually doing that now. You can't see
he
him.
didn't even make noise for the longest time, and everyone was just kind of looking at him. Because I mean, it's not that funny to me. It's just like it's just good. It's
Well,
good
that's what I
physical
meant.
comedy.
That's why
The setting was what made it so funny. Was
That's why
Adam
comedies are
laughing.
good to watch with other people.
Exactly.
Sometimes I love watching other people react to
Oh,
this.
for sure, yeah.
But the problem is I start laughing before that sketch or that scene. So everybody's like wondering what's going on, and it's like because I know what's going to happen.
Yeah. All right, Eric.
So-
I think I have a guess of what yours is, but I want you to go.
No, go ahead and see what you think.
Is it what's it called? Not Ash. The Ash the Evil Dead.
You're
Evil-
talking about Army
Army Darkness.
Army
It is
Darkness.
Army Darkness.
No, that
Okay.
wasn't. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of my favorite funny
Hail to
movies.
King,
I
baby.
think. But Black Sheep was one.
Oh, that is
you
a
know,
good one.
Chris Farley.
rest in peace, man.
My favorite scene in that, his brother's running for campaign for governor of Washington, not D.C., Oregon. But no, Washington State. What am I saying? Oregon. But anyhow, what I love is that he sees this house down the ridge. He's up on a mountain, and he's like, every vote counts. So he's taking his little pamphlet, and he's going to walk down this mountain.
See,
And
you
it
know,
doesn't go very well. He's rolling, and then he grabs a little branch. He's like, "Thank you, branch, for holding on." And then it lets go, and he rolls it again. And then he finally gets down to the hill, and he turns back and he looks at the mountain. And he's like, "What the heck was that all about?" And then he goes to the mailbox, puts it in the mailbox, the flyer, and then just walks away.
Eric,
One of my best. It's a funny scene. It's just like,
is it funny to you because you can see yourself in that scenario?
yes, I can see me rolling down a hill.
I can see that
Every
too.
vote counts. It's like the starfish story.
Dude,
We're going to have Eric tell the starfish
Yeah.
story.
No, not today. But
yeah.
Sometime, not
Dude,
today.
I think one of my favorite scenes of that movie is when Chris Farley and who is it, David Spade?
Yes.
They're in the car getting ready to be pulled over.
Yeah.
And they fake the bee attack.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh,
Save yourself.
Oh, I love it. There's another one called Tommy Boy too.
Yeah.
They're both in it, and that's hilarious too.
Yeah.
Those are really good.
Man, Chris Farley was something else.
Oh, I love
He
Chris
has a very
Farley.
tragic story, unfortunately, but man, was he one of the funniest people I think have ever lived.
Well, it goes to show you too. I mean, not to get too deep into it, but a lot of people think that just because you have success that it solves all your problems.
For sure.
Or, you have money, it solves your problem. When there's a lot of things inside of a person that you didn't realize that he felt that way about himself or
Exactly.
was depressed
And I mean,
or sad.
a lot of times you see it in some of the funniest people, even Robin Williams.
Yes.
And Chris Farley, sometimes the funniest people have the darkest stuff going on inside, and that's just kind of their way to deal with it is to just turn it into laughter.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but man, he has some Man Down by the
Oh,
River.
Man down by
Some of
the
the best
river.
SNL
or
sketches.
Living in a van down by the river.
Yeah, when he breaks a coffee table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just great movies. Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, if you ever get a chance to watch them.
Even his interviews, remember that one classic? It's like a meme now where he's running down the aisle, shaking people. He picks up some guy in the audience and spins him around in the aisle. He's great.
Yeah, he was awesome. All right, so I think it's time to steer a little bit away from movies. Let's go to video games. And this is an area of video games that we're going to talk about that I don't know much about, except for pretty much one game.
Let me expand it a little bit for you because I feel like we could talk about, this would be where I'd say we could talk about Tony Hawk. We could talk about
Okay.
For sure.
okay,
there you go.
SSX,
That helps a lot.
You just nailed Ryan's on the head, though.
Snowboarding game.
So for the viewers that are confused. We're going to be talking about our favorite sports games. And I always have hated sports games.
Me too.
I hate sports
Me too.
for the most part. But now that you said that, I think it did open. I know what I'm going to say now. Because I was thinking of like Madden and stuff like that.
Actually, this is a thing that I'm kind of passionate about. Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for
Actually,
it.
there's two that I could mention.
Okay.
I'll start off. The first one was it's a 2K5
Okay.
ESPN football game.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was
For
just a
which
great
console?
game. It was Xbox, what
Okay.
I got it for. You could get it on PS2 as well. But what was so cool, and this is kind of what's sad about it, I don't see this in video games today, but on the Xbox, you could actually change the music
Oh, wow.
for any time you
It's a game
scored a
changer.
touchdown. This is the reason why I still have my Xbox. Because I like to break it down. I like to break it out and play some football.
Yeah.
And when I get a touchdown, I can hear some of my own music. But you would actually create a playlist of first down songs, turnovers. So the stadium
sweet.
music would actually go with what you wanted.
Yeah.
You could put your playlist of songs up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, it was actually unique and different.
Yeah.
And it was the first one that actually had, like, replays.
Oh,
So you'd
yeah.
actually see the replays at halftime. That was your game. So it's dated now, but it was really cool at the time. The other one I'd have to mention is Tony Hawk, too.
Oh, yeah.
And
Which they're about to remaster.
yes.
Yep, that's what I was about to say.
I'm probably going to have to break down and get that
Oh,
because I love that game. I loved having, and this is what I did because one of the, years ago I used to have a team named Kyle, and he was joking around. You remember that time where we would just come over to your house and hang out in youth group and stuff? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
You remember how you would just play Tony Hawk and beat us all? And you'd always offer the second controller to be the person to rotate in, but you would never lose.
I
You'd
feel
always
like
be playing.
that has definitely happened to me at your house with other games. You're like, hey, let's play this game. I don't know much about it, but
Absolutely
you're
obliterates
like
them.
a professional at it. And you just dominate us. And you just laugh. It's awesome.
So he's like, I always go to your house, but you'd always be playing because. I'm sorry, Kyle.
Sorry, Kyle. Shout out to Kyle. All right, who's go next?
I can go next. I also hate sport games. I'll just throw that out there.
You don't like any sports games?
Let me follow this up.
Okay.
I don't have any sport games currently. Until we unlocked kind of the Tony Hawk realm, and I have a kind of clever answer too. But whenever I play a sport game, especially basketball, I love basketball in real life. But the 2K games, whenever I play 2K, I just want to stop playing 2K and go play basketball.
Yeah.
Like I remember going through the dunk packs in 2K. Probably a lot of you know what I'm talking about. And I would record I still have them on my phone from a while ago because they're on iCloud. I'd record the dunk packs on my phone, on my TV, and go out and try it on a 6-foot mini hoop. That's my, like, so anyway.
This explains why you're not very good at NBA Jam.
In the car, I knew this was going to come up. Corey, someone's going to have to talk about that.
I can talk about it later.
Okay.
Cool. But anyway, my favorite sport game would probably be, I don't play it much anymore, but probably Rocket League. I think that counts.
Yeah.
Rocket
okay.
League is a game where
That's
you
in the
drive around.
sports
It's
genre.
soccer, but you drive around the car, and
Yeah.
the cars kind of jump.
Racing soccer.
Yeah. So that kind of added to the realm of like, I can't do this at home. Like, I can't get my Trailblazer and just go start running to soccer balls in the Belpre soccer field.
I don't know. Let's try that out.
We should
that
do
sounds like real fun.
Rocket League real life.
We can get one of those big, huge balls. That,
Actually, I
inflatable
did
balls.
see on YouTube. I think it's in Germany.
Adam has one.
They do have a like Rocket League kind of thing in real life
Oh, that's cool.
with like this
Oh, I
big
wouldn't doubt it.
inflatable ball, and it was really entertaining to watch.
I would also add NFL Street on PS2.
That's
Ryan,
gonna be mine.
Ryan and I played that. That was our childhood.
Yeah,
We have very
banger.
similar game tastes growing up because we had to play split screen. We had one console. We had to play split
Yeah.
screen. So
You're over here messing me up because you said 2 games, and that was my game.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
You should probably
Not
talk
fair.
about NBA Jam though.
I like a lot of sports games. So
Yeah, I know you do.
Corey's a big sports game
What?
guy.
No.
Now, do you
so-
play
not so
Madden
much
right now,
anymore.
or do you?
I haven't owned Madden since like maybe Madden 15
Yeah.
was the latest I had. But I'll still like go back and play them. And I mean, once you've played them, they're pretty similar in style.
Yeah.
So like I'll play with some of my other friends that have them. My favorite Madden game, I can't even remember which one it was. It was super one of the really early ones on PS2. It was like I want to say it was like Madden 6 or something.
Yeah.
But you could play with Michael Vick and the Falcons.
Oh, yeah.
And the game was so broken because I would do like a QB sneak, and he was so much faster than everyone else.
You found the exploits.
No, what you did was you ran backwards, and the players didn't know how to like adjust to your direction. So if you ran along the sideline, they followed you in a straight line.
Yeah.
And then you could loop.
They wouldn't make the
And
angle.
They wouldn't make the angle.
You
so
dirty
then you'd
boy.
loop in the end zone and go back up and run 100 yards, and you could literally score a touchdown on every single play.
That's
on
awesome.
One play doing
That's
it.
sweet.
And I would score like literally like 80.
You say it's
90 points a
sweet,
game.
but it's sweet when you're playing single player. But if you're playing against him,
Yeah.
and your whole defense goes that way,
Yeah.
and then you happen to miss the tackle.
I come from NFL Street where you do a backflip off the wall and try to get in the end zone.
That
that was a
sick.
good game.
Some of my best memories is playing Madden and in the youth groups that I've had. Me and Adam Myers got into it one time because we were playing against each other, and somehow I would kick the field goal and it didn't register in the game that I actually made and we both saw that I made it, that I lost the game because it didn't count the field goal for some reason.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
There was it's a lot of fun when you're playing a rivalry. Go ahead.
But the NBA Jam thing.
Oh yeah.
So
Classic.
we've kind of hinted at this several times. Every once in a while, we haven't done it in a while, but we used to go to Eric's house on Sunday nights and just like play some video games, have a bonfire or something, hang
Burn
out.
a couch.
It's pretty much
Burn a
living
couch.
what we talk about in this podcast.
It's that's pretty much what it was. But we were talking about playing video games, and when I was younger, I loved playing NBA Jam. Such a good game.
Yeah.
Eric loved NBA Jam, and we had Logan, and shout out to Nathan Lindemuth. He was there then.
Yep,
Hadn't seen him
he
in
was
a long
there.
time. But Logan was like, "Oh man, I'm so good at this game," and I was like, "I'm pretty good at this game too." And Logan and Nathan were like, "Oh, we'll play you." It's like, but we're gonna win. So
I can already tell
and
it's
so-
going to get tense in here in a little bit.
and
I don't
so-
agree with this viewpoint,
I'm
but
just gonna
continue,
back off.
Corey.
And so Eric and I decided to play as a team, and it was kind of one of those moments for me where I felt like that was our game, not like their game. You know what I mean?
Corey
It's
claimed
like-
that game.
it was
He
like-
picked up the controls
it
like,
was
this is mine now.
I'm 4 years older than you, so like I felt like that was me in my prime, and like I felt just kind of singled out by it for some reason. So if I had a hat on, I think I would have like turned it backwards and like sat down.
That's a good like visual
Get
for
ready to
us.
Yeah.
school the kids.
Yeah. So Eric and I started playing them, and like at first we were dominating at first, but then you had like a really strong comeback.
We did come
I
back.
just let
They-
up a little. I felt sorry for the
Okay,
other
so when we started the game,
Eric's fault.
when we started the game,
I saw that coming.
we were up by a lot. Like I would say at one point in time, we were up like 15, 20 points. But Logan
Yeah.
made a really strong comeback, and it was like a 2-point game.
I stopped playing defense.
And then I don't even remember. Logan tied the game. You tied it, right?
I don't remember.
But I think Logan tied the game, and like at the buzzer, I drilled a 3, and Logan. That was a bad day. And
I have
You
it on
drilled the-
video, and I will post it on Facebook when this episode comes out so people can see it.
but Eric and I went nuts because we hit the buzzer beater.
Yeah.
And
It's
Nathan
very-
and I, like, we're just broken.
Yeah.
We also managed to wake up every single living
Leeson.
life form in the Leeson house.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yes.
that was back when your kids were younger
Yeah.
too, so they
They
were all
were
asleep.
asleep for school on Monday.
Well, I usually crank up the volume anyway.
I don't.
It's not like you cared anyway.
I don't think Shelly was very happy that night.
Probably not, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we haven't been over in a while. I'm joking.
I remember from a spectator viewpoint, it was just gorgeous. It was kind of like seeing like Michael Jordan back at it, but it was Corey playing NBA jams.
That may have been
just-
the
he just
highlight
hit that
of my
perfect
video game career.
You know, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I will definitely share that video so that you guys go with that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's-
it'll be something
I
beautiful.
don't
for
believe
everyone
you
to
have it.
see. Oh, I have it. I'll
You do
show
really?
you. I'll show you after this.
You
yeah.
really do have it.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, wow.
100%.
It was a Snapchat, wasn't it?
No, it's in my Google
Wow.
Photos.
I
Shout
thought
out.
you were just joking.
No, I have the video.
I remember watching the playback.
I have the video.
I was looking for cheating, but it was clean. So you're good, Corey.
It's clean. All right, I'll share mine real quick.
Sure.
I've always kind of like Logan. Actually, not really like Logan. I've never been into sports. I'm not a big sport guy. I've always been more the music guy. Which reminds me, I guess I kind of could say Guitar Hero.
Yeah. Well,
But I'm not going to say. I'm not going to. Okay. I'm sorry.
I would have said Guitar Hero then.
Sorry. Not a sport. I don't know what I was thinking. But the one sport game I did like was Skate 3. on
Yeah.
Xbox
Okay,
360.
there we go.
Those games I feel like were really hard to play.
I was a master.
It takes
Don't you
talent.
feel like it took a while to get that?
So I'd never really gotten to the Tony Hawk games
Yeah.
because I went straight to like Skate 2 and then Skate 3.
Uh-huh.
But going back and playing Tony Hawk later, those are piece of cake compared to, because you have to have all these specific.
No, wait a minute. Are you
Things.
trashing me?
Yeah, we're all targeting you this podcast.
Yeah. But no, Skate 3 was awesome. One thing that stood out for me was the soundtrack. It's a bunch of like punk music, and I just
That's
love
one
it.
of the things
fan
that
of pop
was
punk.
the beauty of Tony Hawk too was the track.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like,
That's why I was encouraged to see most of the songs are coming.
Yeah,
back.
well, I think that the Tony Hawk soundtrack is much more acclaimed than the Skate 3 soundtrack, probably for good reasons, but
I remember trying Skate 3 and I couldn't do it.
yeah.
So
See,
it's quite a accomplishment
yeah.
to do.
See,
Because I heard a difficulty
yeah.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
because I just wanted like a realistic.
Did you like complete it or how far?
Oh
did you
yeah,
get in?
like
Wow.
I mean, it was the kind of game where like I beat everything on it, but for years after, I'd like come back from school.
Was that the
and just-
last one? Skate
Yeah,
3?
yes.
They haven't made another.
No.
one.
I don't
wonder
know.
why.
I
It's like
played
the whole
it-
skateboard genre was been,
you need. If you do a quick Google search, the fans everywhere like signing petitions to try to get it either remastered or make a Skate 4.
yeah.
They have a new skateboard game coming out, kind of like it. I think it's called like Session or something like that. Which it's not by the same developers, so it's not gonna be the same. But it looks a lot like it. But everyone wants a new skate game, either Skate 3 remastered or Skate 4. I'd be
Ryan,
fine
do you
with either.
remember playing that on the DS?
Yes.
I played that more on the DS than console, but I remember you would have to draw the shape on the board touchscreen
Oh,
to
wow.
get the trick to come out. It was a lot of fun. That's
Yeah.
my only experience with Skate
Yeah.
3.
So yeah, that'll have to be mine.
Hollow
We should,
Meat
we should
game
probably
mode.
move
That's
on.
good. Yeah, okay.
All right, so the next one. This one is going to be interesting because I don't really know what I'm going to say yet. But I have an idea, but I think it's going to be hard to get you guys to know what I'm talking about. So I'll have someone else go first. But it's one pet peeve that we've noticed this week. And I have one kind of, but who wants to kick us off?
I can go. Especially, I wouldn't just say this week, but quarantine's made like a big difference. Mm-hmm. It's just like when you're around your family a lot more and you like can't go out and like don't break it up as much. Like the way people eat is like, and I want to.
So just the way people eat in general.
I want to start. Well, everyone eats differently, but I want to start out by saying I did this too sometimes. Like if I'm in a hurry, especially like eating with my mouth open.
Yeah.
Like I have made a conscious effort to like not eat with my mouth open now because like I would eat quickly and then I noticed other people eating quickly and then they kind of make that like sound like smacking their lips.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
something
No, I
about
feel
it
that.
just really made me like, oh, that was rough for me. I really don't like
Yeah.
it. So now I've been trying to like consciously like be like chew slowly and keep my mouth open because
Take smaller bites.
because I don't want to be the guy that's doing the pet peeve that I don't like other
Yeah.
people doing.
Yeah. Those are the worst kind of people.
I'll be monitoring you, Corey.
All right. Who's next? Logan.
If we're gonna stay true to what happened this week, it's probably hard, but I'd say this week one of my big things is when people. Let me just set up a scene for you. If you're riding in the back seat of a car, and there's two people in the front, passenger, driver, and they're playing music. My pet peeve is when someone doesn't know what the right audio level is to where the person in the back can be a part of the conversation. Do you know what I mean by that? Because the back's always louder. I don't care what car you're in. If you're in the back seat, the music's always louder. And then you notice that you're out of the loop of the conversation because to them, it's a nice volume.
Are you
my
sure
pet-
they want you part of the conversation?
That's the pet peeve, Eric. My pet peeve is being discluded. No, but seriously, you know what I mean? Like, like the volume is just loud enough to where you can't contribute to the conversation because you feel like you're yelling, and then you always have to say like, "Hey, can you turn that down a little bit?" And then you're that guy.
Yeah.
We all know that guy. Can you turn it down a little bit, guy? There's always that guy in the room.
Yeah.
But it's when that's that third seat person that the volume's not right to where you can't talk, but they're talking at a comfort level, but they don't realize the back's always louder.
Yeah.
That's my pet peeve.
I feel that. That's always been, especially if you're in the back.
Exactly.
Well, there's that distance too. Like
Yeah.
there's people who are in the front. You already got that vacuum that you're in the back. The volume's going toward the front, right?
Yeah.
Because they're in the front.
Yeah.
So I understand what
And
you're
then on
saying.
top of that, you have a lot of people that don't know what they're doing and they pan their audio to the back seat.
Oh no!
And so
Trisha Ball.
And so like my mom.
Are you serious? Oh.
And so to her the music's nice and quiet, but in the back seat you're like dying.
You're like front row winter jam.
Getting post-traumatic stress.
But it's only
disorder
VBS
from-
tracks.
So yeah, it's rough. I feel
your
that.
mom's always previewing the next VBS.
Yeah.
Eric, hit us with
Okay,
one.
so mine just today. I got a pet peeve for people that judge podcasts based on a picture.
Oh no!
I don't think you should judge a podcast by looking at one picture and say that's a terrible podcast.
Do you want to drop? Do you want to drop a name?
No names.
No names.
So just to paint a picture, so that the person knows who it is. This person was seeing a picture on our Facebook of the podcast and immediately just tore it apart and trashed it without listening to the podcast. And you know who you are. Hint, it was by the campfire.
We're praying for you.
Yeah, we're praying for
And
you.
you will never be a guest on the show until you repent.
No, that's really just what I thought of today. But I do think that there's times where I think about what you said. I think there's times where little things get to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that sometimes like it is amazing like how people sometimes I guess I get peeved a little bit with this Corona thing that like we were at Taco Bell last night and the person actually hands me the wrong thing. I touch it and I give it back through the window and then they're going to give it to the next person. Well, really technically, you probably should just toss that out, right?
True. Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I think I understand the rules, but also to understand like there's people constantly breaking the rules.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you? That's my pet peeve, I guess, for today.
No, I feel that.
And the podcasting.
Okay. Yeah. No. I'm definitely with you on the podcast thing.
Yeah.
And just overall people judging something when they have no idea what they're talking about because they don't know anything about it. Just ticks me off, drives me right up the wall. Dang! All right, anyway. All right, here's mine. Mine's very deep. Gonna kind of lighten the mood. So have you guys ever had the thing where I think this happens more often when you're camping, but some article of your clothing somehow gets wet and you don't know why. That ever happens to you guys? I know it's very niche. That's the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We know.
But that happened to me the other day, and it pretty much ruined my entire day.
So can you explain
are
what
we-
happened?
Yeah, I'll explain what
Are we
happened.
talking like when you have like a random like quarter-sized dot
So
on
yeah,
the left
either
side of
that
your shirt or something?
or if it doesn't matter if any part of my clothes are wet and I don't know how it happened, it takes me off. The other day, I know.
How often does this happen to you, right?
Well, we were talking about this week, and it's happened a couple times this week. The first time it happened, I came inside from just being outside. Me and Logan have been camping all this week in a camper, and I came inside finally in the air conditioning, and I lay down, and the bottom back of my shirt is wet, and I don't know how it happened. It just ticked me off.
Is it lumbar sweat?
I was just super peeved about it because
Maybe you got sweat glands places.
it
that
wasn't
you didn't realize.
sweat. It wasn't sweat. I wouldn't know if it's sweat. And then the other day, my socks got wet somehow while I
Were
was
they left
eating.
outside?
No, like while I was wearing them. And so this is what I think happened.
But you don't sweat.
So like, okay, I wasn't prepared for this
I
one.
think this is a sweat gland problem.
Yeah.
So maybe my pet peeve is just
Isn't
wet.
there a commercial
wet
where they
socks.
have these guys sell this product you put on your hands to keep your hands
I
from
don't know
being
where this
sweaty?
is going.
You might want to try that product.
Anyway,
I know what you're talking
the
about,
other day
Ryan,
I
I
came
agree.
into the house and my socks were wet, and
really?
I didn't bring a bunch of socks, and so I just kind of bared with it for a while. But man, that ticked me off.
I'm sure it
Just
did.
the feeling of having wet socks or just
Yeah. Oh.
wet clothing in general is miserable.
I don't
for me.
like,
And
if
it's
you
just
go
a pet
outside or something and get
Yeah.
your socks wet, it is miserable.
If you like step in a puddle and it like goes through your shoes and your socks get
Yeah.
soaked or whatever,
Yeah,
I hate that.
So
Also, you just have your sock on sideways in your shoe, and you got that little seam in there.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
You know what I'm talking about? The seam.
Yeah.
and I have a couple pair of shoes where from when I attempted to learn how to skateboard, I have holes in them. And if you step in a puddle, it's right at that area. Your socks get wet, and it's just game over.
Game over.
So, yeah,
I understand.
that'll have to be mine if that made any
I'm not sure how things randomly get wet for you, but
Dude,
I understand
okay,
the
listen.
pain.
Listen, now that I've said it, you will notice it.
You will. I know what you're talking about.
Even if it's like you like wash your hands at the sink and you like press up against the counter and like this area of your shirt
Oh yeah, well, that's
gets
explained.
wet. That ticks me off
Oh, it does.
because it just messes with me.
Also, I think another thing with that, Ryan, is whenever this is a big pet peeve for me too. Let's say you have paper in your hands, you set it down, and you get that little water stain on your paper.
yeah.
That's the same thing. But with clothes.
That's the same thing with
paper,
clothes.
yeah.
See, the way I look at that will dry, but Shelly gets upset for that.
No, but it doesn't dry, Eric. It's different.
It gets all wrinkled.
Yeah.
It's
and
not
it's just
the same.
annoying. And then the moment I see someone that has like a paper like that has that little wrinkle corner, I'm
it's
like, this
wrinkly.
person
Doesn't
does
care.
not have their life together. They don't care about anything. They're
That's
probably
me.
they've probably killed someone recently. They just don't have it together. Any like phantom wetness just takes me off.
Wetness.
That's gonna be the name of this episode. Phantom wetness.
I love that. New terminology
Yeah.
right there.
I think we leave the title of the show Moral Dilemma and just change the whole thing to Phantom War.
Phantom wetness. Oh man. All right. So let's reel her back on in.
Yeah, what a better way to wrap up some
Yeah.
pet peeves with some scripture.
So speaking
Yeah.
of phantom wetness, we're gonna be diving a little bit into Proverbs. But yeah, we're gonna share some of our favorite Proverbs. I know I was reading the other day and found one that I had never really looked at much before, and I could share it right now.
Yeah,
actually.
go ahead. I'll let you go first.
It is. I don't have it memorized, obviously. Proverbs 18, specifically verse 2, I think. Yeah. And so Proverbs 18 is kind of about just having like an open mind about things and knowing when to speak and when to just shut up. And I think...
Does that actual verse just shut
No,
up?
no. I'll read the actual verse.
He's reading the message.
So yeah, the message version says, "Shut up when you don't know what you're talking about."
Wouldn't it be nice if God was just like that sometimes? Just like, dude, just shut up.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what's being said, though.
Yeah,
So here's what Proverbs 18 verses 1 and 2 say. It says, "An unfriendly person pursues selfish ends, and against all sound judgment starts quarrels. Fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions."
Yeah.
I think that's fire right now, especially with, we're not going to go super into depth with politics yet. I think eventually we might.
No,
But
definitely a good point. I think there's a lot of fools out
yeah,
there.
I think right now it's a good thing, especially seeing stuff on social
I need to
media
go next because we're tying right into
of
mine.
people saying stuff about the different movements happening right now that they don't have any idea what they're talking about, and that are just hurting feelings and hurting the movement that's going on, which I think there's a lot of good things about what's going on right now. I don't know where you guys stand on that. I guess we're kind of getting a little too into it, but we might talk about that later. But yeah, I read that and I immediately thought of what's going on right now in the world. But also just me personally, I think it's good to understand when you need to just kind of step back and see things from a different angle and look outside the box. And that's hard, especially for me coming from a school like Cedarville. I mean, Cedarville is a great school, but a lot of the opinions, like Cedarville is kind of in a box, and it was just inside the box thinking, super conservative, obviously, which there's nothing wrong with that. But now that I'm back into the real world and I'm seeing all these different things, I'm trying to come at it with maybe a different angle of understanding, and obviously doing that through God to try to just not be a fool, because fools just kind of jump to their own assumptions without understanding and without listening, without observing. So
Wow. Can I start now? Can I read
That's
mine
kinda
now?
what-
Sure.
That is like, this is kind of crazy. So I'll be honest. Well, I'll be honest here. I picked mine out on the way here. I don't like to, anyway, I picked out Proverbs 1:7, and it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction."
I mean, all of Proverbs is pretty much about wisdom, right? A lot of it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is what I like about this one. The first part of this verse says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge." And I think a lot of people view God as just their therapist. And I think that the beginning of knowledge, what this verse is saying, is when we begin to develop that fear of the Lord. And that is a healthy thing, to fear the Lord. Read Revelation for Pete's sake. I mean, the fear should be there. And I think that a lot of people in this world would take more accountability for their sin I mean, obviously we cannot get rid of our sin ourselves. Don't take it that way. But I think we would have more of a reflection time of our sin, knowing of what God is capable of. I think that we would be more cautious. I mean, I should start speaking for myself instead of using we, but I am specifically more, I look for more of my sinful nature whenever I know what God's capable of, good and, you know, he has a wrathful side. There's a lot of stories in the Bible, and there's a lot of evidence of that, and it's because of his love. And as Christians, our God is so great that he gives us the option to be a believer or to not be a believer. So I really like that. And then the last part says, fools despise wisdom and instruction. And I mean, you can see that. I mean, scroll through Facebook today and you can see that. So I really like that, especially I just thought it was cool how it kind of tied right off of what Ryan was saying. And I really think that people should take into account of why we should fear the Lord and how the benefits you can reap from fearing such a powerful creator, which we serve.
It's interesting. Yeah. When you talk about a fool, that's somebody that disregards they know what's right and wrong. They just don't care. They know that there are things there to be done, but they don't care of the consequences.
For sure.
And you know, I see that a lot of times on you know, social media and stuff that people put things out there without really being somewhat caring of people's voices or where they're from or what's going on in their life. I think wisdom is to fear God. Fearing God too, just add another thing to the conversation, is that to fear God is also to just show respect.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not just to be afraid of God. It's the fear that we respect God and His majesty and His wonderfulness and you know, how amazing He is. You want to go?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
He's already crying.
Sorry, guys.
He's all choked up.
No, I think it's cool that, like you said, Proverbs is mainly to do with wisdom.
Yeah.
And the verse I always think of, the first one that comes to mind for me when I think of Proverbs, is Proverbs 3:5, which is the one that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So I think it's
in my
kind of
Instagram
cool
bio.
because it's like it kind of piggybacks on what you guys were saying. It's like, especially right now, like there's so much going on that we just hear what we're told on like media and the news and stuff, but we're not, like, unless you actually go there and see it, you get all these different viewpoints.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to like make sure that we're focusing on God and leaning on like how He's guiding us, as opposed to like what we think we know, because there's so much we don't know. And it's so easy to get misled when you're not like experiencing something first person. And I'm not saying, like, without getting like super political, I'm not saying like one way or the other way on certain issues. I'm just saying, like, unless you're a person that's experienced it firsthand, you don't really know the experience. Like, you can be told 3 different viewpoints and they're all totally different.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, especially right now, to make sure that we're really focusing on Christ and like staying true to His word and like reading His word and getting our like guidance that way, as opposed to just assuming things or kind of letting the world lead us the way it wants us to lead us.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of things out there that you know, the world does need to change.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also shows me a lot of times that the world needs God. That mankind is not perfect. We have flaws. We have bias. We have all these issues that we deal with internally. And you know, we need God to help us. That's kind of brings up what you shared, is, you know, we can't lean on our own understanding. It's like some people just want the government to take care of them, and you know, that if you're putting your trust in a government that's ran by man, that government's going to fail you time and time again. Your trust needs to be put something higher, and that trust needs to be put in God. My scripture was just a scripture that kind of shared with me with a friend named Steve. He shared it with me a long time ago. It's Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpeneth iron.
Oh yeah.
So does a man sharpen the countenance of his friends. And to kind of piggyback off what everything else I've heard today, it's really us getting together to developing people to bring understanding. It's getting to know others around us in our community, and even people that we work with and around, that we don't just focus in on our own selfish desires. We're trying to build each other up, and I love that imagery of taking something that's dull, maybe like you shared with your experience, that there are times maybe I don't understand everything because I've been kind of sheltered. But it doesn't mean that we lose our purpose for God and serving God and trying to be the best Christian we can be. But we try to be around other people that we can influence and encourage.
Exactly.
And I may not be, perfect or fully understand that position, but hopefully I can sharpen that person, and maybe that person can sharpen me.
I like that. The fact that the verse says iron sharpens iron. They're the same element, which I think is really cool, because it doesn't say diamond sharpens iron. You know what I mean? It's the same. We're all human. We can all sharpen each other with what we have, and what. I like that aspect, that it's the same person can sharpen each other. I like that.
And going through this pandemic too, I think it's kind of shown us that I think we're all kind of missing that. I think being here and doing this podcast is a lot of fun, because with this quarantine thing, we haven't had a chance to really spend time with people, and I think that's an important part of mankind. It's an important part of what God designed in us, to work together, to be around each other. And that's what makes me sad, is when I see people take such a strong stance on certain things, but not allow people to have a room to share their viewpoint or share their concerns. I still think you can still hold your ground in some ways without discrediting somebody else's feelings. I mean, that you can listen to or have a conversation and talk about things and be caring and receptive to that. It's just a shame we can't do that all the way around. Like some people just want to be diehards. This is the way I think. This is the way I am.
Yeah, and that's really good, because that's something we as Christians have to be really good at, because if we're going to fulfill our calling to the gospel, we're going to have to talk to people. We're going to have to evangelize the people who don't have the same viewpoint. That's the whole point, is that we're trying to show them the way that it actually works, and that's really important to gain that skill of seeing where they're coming from and finding a way to pull them alongside you, rather than to reject their ideas and just flood yours on them. I think that's really good, Eric.
I think too that Christians, as the most part, and it's partly our fault as Christians, but I think that we do get a kind of a bad view, because I think that we're seen as judgmental. And I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I'm going to judge you first. I feel like most of the time I care about you as a person. I'm a sinner. I'm flawed. There's things in my life that I could bring out that I'm not who I want to be all the time. There's things I do that I wish I could do differently, and there's attitudes sometimes I have that are wrong. You guys have probably seen my attitude sometimes, and I'm like, really, Eric's like that. But I'm a human being. But my source and my strength should be God. And I don't want to I want to love the person. You hear that all the time, but I think we can. And I think that if people would give us a chance, that true Christians can really show compassion and love. It doesn't mean I have to change my viewpoint to do that either. I can still have my viewpoints, and that's where tolerance comes in. That word tolerance and how I disagree with the definition of that, because tolerant doesn't mean that you can't have a viewpoint. It just means that you can share your thoughts and your viewpoint on all these different topics.
For sure.
No, that's good.
Wow, we kind of went there, didn't we? We kind of went a little deep.
That was good.
But I like it.
No,
and I know we've talked about it in the future. Maybe we'll do more of that. We kind of wanted to kind of get give a chance for people to get to know us and kind of see who we are. But I appreciate your guys' viewpoints too, because I'm kind of, like I mentioned in the first episode, I'm kind of the old guy here. But I do think that you guys have a voice to carry out for your generation. And I'm always somebody that wants to kind of help equip and kind of give you guys opportunity. So I'm excited to see what God does in your life to help shape this generation, because we're going to need to be influencers to help people, because there's a lot of people, and I go back to the thought, it makes me sad, because there's a lot of people hurting in the world. Jesus is the answer, but with all the noise, they can't clearly see that Jesus is
Yeah.
the answer. You know, that Jesus is the one that can bring us peace and happiness and hope and
Yeah.
Sure.
joy, really. Not even happiness, really joy in our lives.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I think we.
My monologue.
Yeah, no, that's a good monologue. I'll have to add some like music in post
Yeah, can you add like some
during your monologue. Yeah.
soft
Yeah.
music in the background?
No, but I think that.
Maybe some angels.
I'll just put the Halo 3 music in there. All right. So yeah.
What a side note, did you remember that time when Eric made me a little clip of in one of the tirade episodes?
Oh, yeah.
Halo Reach when I got
remember
hero
that.
status.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Congratulations.
I want
still on
something like that.
that. Yeah.
Now you're just demanding, Eric.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. But thank you guys so much for watching. Also, I realized we didn't do this in the beginning. My name is Ryan,
My name's Eric.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Logan.
and thank you for watching Moral Dilemma. Peace.
See you later, guys.